Welcome back to class. We have almost everyone back, and in class we've actually added two more new students. However, I do have Chelsea that is left to begin her externship, and Faith is on her final class. So this time is just flying by as usual. ECE 111 is the course that we're currently in, Language and Literacy. And I have to say this is one of my favorite classes, and I think you guys will enjoy it as well. Our new students, I don't see either of them signed on tonight, but their names are Jasmine and Sarah. So if you guys happen to see them around the discussion board, please welcome them. And even though they're not here, I'm hoping they will be able to watch the recording. And I'm leaving it up to you guys to help give a few tips to them since they're new to the program. I don't think either of them are coming out of AOS classes. They're coming straight into ECE, so they need all the extra help they can get to get settled in. You guys know from being in the program that our courses are 4 weeks long. I'm going to stick with the same format because I think it's important that every time we start a new course that you guys know how it's going to be set up and when the usual due dates are. I think with online classes it's very important that they are predictable and that you can feel comfortable, that you don't have to spend a week getting used to a new format. So all of our new assignments will be coming up on Mondays. Most are due by Sunday at midnight. Initial discussion board post is due Wednesday by midnight, so you guys have one more day on that to get your first 2 discussion board postings done. And of course, with this course, we're going to begin with the end in mind and look at the final project first. Now, we ended with a final exam in ECE 109. In a way, that's easier, but in another way, it's not. I'm kind of a fan of final projects, and I think you guys are really going to like this one that I put together. So, first of all, and I'll see if I can type these in here so that when Justin and Sarah look at this, they can see the tips that you guys have given them. You don't even have to look down into the chat box. So you tell me, if you were telling a new student something important about our courses or about online learning, what do you think we should tell them? Maybe let's try to come up with 4 tips for them in their first week. What would you guys tell the new students? Communication. I love that. I love that, Faith. The communication is so important. And if you ever find yourself in a bind, or if you get sick, or there's an accident in the family, please get a hold of us, and we will work with you. Stephanie, check your email, definitely. And, I recommend checking it every day if you can. I know some people try to just check a few times a week, but I suggest checking every day just in case there's a change in the class or maybe some clarification. Ask for help if needed, yes. Because everyone that I've met is really nice with CCC. We don't fight at all, and we love to help out. So if you're not sure about an assignment, please do email me or call me. Good, Anita's back. Yay! I was worried that we lost you, Anita. And can you guys think of one more tip that we can give them? We said communication is very important. Check your email daily if possible. Ask for help if needed. The silly computer kicked you off, Anita. Oh no. I hate that. I don't know if you're having the weather like we are, but I won't be surprised if someone loses some electricity or but I love being able to have my list in front of me so that I can check things off as I get them done. It makes me manage my time better, and then also you get a little sense of satisfaction marking something off a list, right? Because you completed it and you're done. Okay, so Jasmine and Sarah, that's a few tips for you whenever you watch this recording. We're happy that you're here. We want to help you out. So call me or email me, or with your fellow students, we'd love to help out as well. Okay, let's talk about the final project. This is really the main thing we're going to talk about tonight because I want you guys to feel good about this. Emily Bushwell said, children are made readers on the laps of their parents. I love that. Teachers can read to the children. That's wonderful. The more time a parent will stand with their child, reading books over and over is even such a wonderful gift. So a literacy kit is what we're going to build. Have you guys ever built a literacy kit before, or have you worked with one before? Maybe you have literacy kits in the center that you work at. No? You've seen them. Okay, you've seen them, Katrina. But most of you are like, no. Well, this could be a really neat thing. Once you get your full-time job and your center, your dream center, that you can say, hey, would it be a good idea for us to build some literacy kits? And you will know how to do it. So a literacy kit is a set of activities that are designed, let me get my pointer, to allow a student to actively participate and communicate during, before, or after book reading activities. Yes, exactly. Sometimes they happen in the library, you're right. A literacy kit that you build will be designed to be taken home by the child over the weekend. So I want you to keep that in mind. And it's to help the parents take part in their child's early literacy learning experience. So it's not just for the child, it's also for the parents. We're going to build this kit so that it's easy to use, it's easy to carry. And once they get it home, you also have directions in there on how to complete it. So it should be kind of a fun weekend activity the child and the parents can do together. You should build this kit appropriate to a child between 3 and 5 years old. I'll let you choose an exact age if you'd like. But of course, these can be built for almost any age group. So a little more of the specifics, what your kit should include. An appropriate container. Now, first of all, before we get into the things that have to be in there, I want you to know I don't expect you to purchase all of these things. I actually want you to use as many things as you already have. Use the things that you can use for free. So if you have a child, you may already have books or toys at the house that can easily go and get a kit, that you're not going to be giving this kit away, all those things, and then we'll come back to you. Really all you're doing is you're taking a picture of it. So you're welcome to use things that you already have. In fact, I really want to push that. I don't want this to be something that you spend money on. So I want you to try to do as many of these things you can for free. Maybe borrow from a friend if you need to as well. So find a container. It could be a bag, a box, maybe a plastic box like you put shoes in. Could be something, a backpack, something that can be easily transported by the child to take it home. So you're going to have some type of container, basically. If you're unsure if the container would work, just send me an email and I'll or word cards that could be used before reading the book. So you're going to go over a few of the main words. And you might spell out the words. You might look at the letters. You might talk about what the words have in common. So there's lots of things you could do with a word list. It might be on a single sheet of paper, or you might write them on index cards or print them out on index cards using your printer. Okay, number 5, you're going to have a fun activity that can be done with a parent-child that's related to the theme of the book, and you're going to have to give detailed directions on that. Now, here's the thing. All of the materials that you need should be included in this bag, in this literacy bag. So, let's say you're sending a literacy bag home with a child. If you need glue to complete that project, be sure a glue stick is in there. If you need plain paper, be sure the plain paper is in there. You don't want them to have to try to find any of these supplies. They need to be all in there. So maybe even a box of crayons, whatever's needed. What else did I list? Crayons, colored paper, pipe cleaners if you're doing something with pipe cleaners, beads, clay, etc., Play-Doh. So basically, whatever activity you choose, you need to have all the supplies for it and keep it low cost too, because keep in mind again, if you were building literacy bags for your whole classroom, say, that each kid could take home, or maybe even half the class could take it home over the weekend, and then the next weekend the other half the class. You're going to have supplies that are fairly low cost. You're also going to have number 6, an educational worksheet or activity that relates to the chosen book. Examples might include matching letters to words, simple crossword puzzles that you've made using words from the book, math projects or science projects. An example might be if you use the 100 Caterpillars, as your book, or Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. There's lots of different things you could use with those books. And there's tons available online. Really, you don't have to create this from scratch. Use the internet as your resource to find an educational worksheet or activity to go along with it. So you're going to have that printed out. It's going to be in your bag as well. Then the last thing, you might also include book-related toys, plastic toys that can be held during the reading. Maybe if one of your books is Lion King, then you have a small stuffed lion that they can read, they can hold while you're reading the book and go and over each word. So all of these directions are located on our course page as well. If you go down to week 4 and click on Literacy Kit Final Project. So don't worry about trying to write all these things. Oh, we've got Lauren here too. Hi, Lauren. So here's a few examples. Let me write Lauren's name down real quick so I can get her point. Okay, here's an example of a literacy kit that was made using the book Rumble in the Jungle. And you'll notice that they've taken sort of a plain bag, and it looks like they've made an iron-on Rumble in the Jungle. You don't have to get that fancy, but if you do, that's pretty neat too. They've got cards of different animals, and I'm not sure if there are double cards of the animals or if they're just singles, but I can imagine that if there were doubles of each of those animals, then you could play musical memory, where you flip the cards over and try to find the match. And we also have, on the right-hand side, right here, you've got a flip card of words from the book. So this is the way they put their words together so that the parent can easily flip through them. You've also got, this is, I think this is a stamp pad, and we've got a monkey stamp. So they can stamp monkeys onto a plain piece of paper. And then we've got, right here, the directions that go along with the literacy kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking for there. Now, remember, this doesn't have to be a fancy bag, but it could be a backpack or it could be a plastic container. If your supplies aren't that big, you can even use a big Ziploc bag too. Go look at the library and get a book edition. Yes, you totally can, and there's probably even going to be some ideas there on what you might put in a literacy bag as well. So, yeah, library would be great to go to. In fact, guys, if you look into week 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have book lists that you're going to be developing, and the library would be a great resource for that if you're a hands-on type of person who needs to feel the books, look through the books, and read them. You might look ahead through those weeks and look at what type of books I'm going to be looking for and what information we need, because I think it would help you out. You might also go to a bookstore. So I've given you a good excuse to go to the library and go to the bookstore. I love going to bookstores. See, I told you it's going to be a fun class. We haven't even gotten to Pinterest yet, have we? Okay, here's another example. This one, they use melting. And another book, colors everywhere. So, sort of the theme, we're going off the mouse paint book. But also, since that book deals with colors, you have another book that's going to present different colors as well. So you've got the books that would go in the back. You've got a stuffed mouse, amazing, that can go in the back so they can hold it. Right here, this is a flannel board. It's sort of a small, portable flannel board so that you can use that as you go along with the story, like you would maybe in a library or a storytelling place. Here we have a shapes and colors memory match game. Again, that would be a fun thing to do with the parents. And here we have a CD, songs about colors and shapes. So this is a really good example of things that could be in a literacy kit. Here is one more, kind of similar to the first one. You're getting the idea, right? Here's Barnyard Dance. The crayons are included. We've got Sandra Boynton's book, Barnyard Dance. She's one of my favorite children's authors. If you've ever read La 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 La, that was one of my kids' favorite books growing up. Then we've also got Farmyard Friends. Oh, do you? Yay! I love that book. They're fun to read. A lot of her books are rhyming and cute, funny illustrations. They're really neat. Farmyard Friends would go along with Barnyard Dance, so we have 2 books in there. Again, they've used the animal card. And here we can't see they are double, so it is a matching game. As I see, it looks like maybe a goat or a cow and another one down here too. Maybe those are goats. Then we've got a little folder that has the directions in it, and you've got your word flip book. So, I gave you 30 examples. I think that should help you out, sort of visualize kind of what I'm looking for. You can get as much as you can for free, please, when you put these together. I don't want you spending a lot of money. A good resource as well, though, if you needed just a few things, would be a dollar store to get your crayons and your paper maybe. So, lots of creative ideas out there. And you might even, if you work at a center, there may even be things that you can borrow to put in the picture of your literacy bag. So, be sure that would be okay. So I hope you feel a little bit better about the project, and now you have 4 weeks to think about it too. So the literacy kit goal is, in addition to participating in fun, hands-on activities with their families, students also gain an understanding that reading can be both fun picture, I want you to include on a separate file the list of all the supplies included, so a detailed list of what's in there, detailed directions on how to use the kit, and this should be written with the parent in mind. So you're telling the parent step by step how to use this kit. Number 4, you want to have detailed directions for the fun activity. If it's an arts and crafts thing, it needs to be even more detailed. Maybe even have pictures that show how it goes together. And then lastly, a copy of the educational activity. So you're going to have several different things to turn in. This is the first time we've done this activity in the literacy and language course, but I think you're really going to enjoy it. So are there any questions right now about these literacy kits? Do you guys feel like you understand it? Exactly, Stephanie. Not yet, but you will, right? The closer we get, the closer you get, well, you probably forget part of this lecture and don't know what did we need. So we'll be talking about it each week as well, kind of be bringing it up. And as these 4 weeks go by, I just want you to keep an eye out for items. Maybe this week you could start by choosing what book you want in your kit, because that will give you some direction as well. Okay? Awesome! Let's go on to just a little bit in Chapter 11, Cognitive Development through the Curriculum. So since this is language and literacy, we do need to touch a little bit on how children learn. How do we learn how to read? How do we learn how to do anything, really? And 3 basic things we want to cover tonight about cognitive development. We're going to look at Piaget's theory of cognitive development, which we've covered in several of our past courses. A little bit about B.F. Skinner's behaviorism, and a little bit about the idea of information processing. So first of all, let's look at Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Now, I know this isn't something you may consciously apply when you're with a group of students, but the point really is that you've seen this information, and it's in the back of your mind, and it may help you interact or understand a child a little bit better. If we look at Piaget's stages, the first stage is sensory motor. It's around birth to 2 years old. However, this is going to vary child to child. It's not set in stone. And it basically goes, it's understanding the world through senses and action. So think about an infant or a toddler, that they're really learning about the world through their senses and their actions. And the thing that comes to mind for me is a toddler or a baby putting everything in their mouth. So that's a big sense of tasting things, they're learning about texture, they're looking at things, they're learning about color, so many things that you can learn in the sensory motor stage. The second is the pre-operational stage, and this is 2 years old till about 7 years old. Again, it's kind of an estimated range. The 2 to 7-year-old understands the world through language and through mental images, because they have learned more words, they've learned more about sentences, maybe even paragraphs. They're starting to read at this point as well, and actively engage with other children as well as adults. And also mental images, because they have all of these little memories in their brain that they can apply to new learning. Our third is concrete operational, which is 7 to 12 years old, understands the world through logical thinking and 12 years old and onward, understanding the world through ethical thinking and through scientific reasoning. So they can understand a little more abstract reasoning in this stage. And abstract math coming up in my mind would be algebra, that we can't necessarily teach a whole lot of algebra to a 7-year-old, maybe pre-algebra, but 12 and on, they get it, they understand. So Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Next, let's look a little bit at behaviorism, which was developed by B.F. Skinner. And he focuses mainly on behavior management and cognitive development. So change a child's behavior by systematically managing their consequences. A good example is if you give a child a treat, maybe a good consequence, it might be a candy, it might be a new toy, it might just be saying, good job, you're awesome. And you have then created an environment in which they will hopefully repeat that again because they've received a good consequence. However, if we give bad consequences, such as maybe losing the toy or losing time on the computer, a bad consequence or negative action, hopefully they'll quit. So he looked at behavior management as a means of these cognitive development. He believed we are programmed for direct instruction. He believed in teaching with a sequence of learning activities and reinforcing correct responses. So he was very much good, bad. I always think of Pavlov's dog, I think of B.F. Skinner and behaviorism. In fact, I believe it was B.F. Skinner that taught pigeons how to bowl. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but through positive reinforcement, he was able to teach pigeons how to bowl. Here's an example. If we think about behaviorism, here we start, we ask a question, the people respond. If the answer is correct, we say that's wrong, because we don't want them to repeat that action. However, if they get it correct, then we say that's right, or we say good job. There's lots of different ways we can give good positive reinforcement. So think of that when you think of B.F. Skinner and behaviorism. Our last cognitive theory is information processing. Now, these are all theories, and we're not saying that any are absolutely right or absolutely wrong. It's just the idea of being familiar with them. So the information processing theory is basically how humans process information, and they sort of compared it to the way a computer works, processing, encoding, storing, and decoding data. If we look at this next chart, it shows the brain as the child's brain is the sensory register encoding. So you would think of the child's brain as sort of maybe the CPU, the center of the computer. Perception is, there's two different ways we could go here. If you give a lesson to a child, maybe that information goes into short-term memory, maybe it goes into working or long-term memory, depending on what you've done with that information. Short-term memory is considered temporary storage. So maybe if you ask them a question about it right away, they can answer you. But if you ask them the next day, that information may not be there anymore. However, if you reinforced it correctly, it goes into long-term memory. Therefore, we have active memories that they can learn from, and it becomes more of a permanent storage. And the same thing goes with you guys as we are learning. If we look at the learning pyramid, here's some examples of average students get about, that may be even 5% retention rate. So you're really not going to learn a lot from just listening to someone talk, right? You'll get bits and pieces. However, if you lecture and you read from your e-text, you're going to get about a 10% retention rate from reading. Some of you more, some of you less. It depends on if you enjoy reading. Because if we enjoy something, chances are we're going to remember it longer. Audiovisual, if you see it. So one of the reasons I add lots of graphs to our live lectures is I want you to be able to have a picture in your mind to help you remember what we were talking about. So we get about 20% retention with that. If we demonstrate something, we get about 30% retention. I think in cooking classes where we put things together in front of the class. If we discuss it like we do in our discussion boards, you're going to have about 50% retention rate. Now, the neat thing about discussion boards is that you never know what's going to come up in someone else's brain as far as ideas goes or examples. And sometimes those examples are what we really remember from the whole discussion board, not even the whole topic. What were we talking? I don't know. But I remember that story that someone said there. If we can practice doing something, we get about a 75% retention rate. And if we can teach others about it, we get about a 90% retention rate. So you might even think of us putting together our literacy kit as you're getting it ready to teach to a child. So you're going to be teaching through this literacy kit to a child, and hopefully you're going to remember it. Years down the road, when you look back on this class, you're probably not going to remember much of our live lectures or maybe what you read in the book, but you will hopefully remember the literacy kit that you put together, and that hopefully that it was interesting and fun to do. You might even still have it a few years down the road, maybe in a closet somewhere, right? Or sharing it with your children. Let me see here. Okay, so those were the three main cognitive theories. Next, your book talks a little bit about the idea of math concepts and science concepts in early childhood. So here's the thing, you may not think you're teaching math, you may not think you're teaching science, but you really are. There's so many of the things that you can do in an early childhood classroom. Here's some examples. Names and operations by just talking about the names of numbers. You're teaching numbers and talking about sets of things. Maybe you've got a set of sets that are small, medium, and large. That's a set. Algebra. You're starting to understand the patterns that they see, maybe in nature, maybe in books. Geometry. We're looking at shapes and space, which they learn about by playing, right? Measurement. Maybe they're going to be measuring at the sand table or at the water table, having a good time with that. They do problem-solving activities. If you're a good early childhood teacher, you're going to be presenting them with problems that they need to come up with the solutions for. You'd be amazed what children can come up with. So the main thing is you have to give them a moment to think about it. And some need a little bit longer than others, so don't make it stressful. You don't want them to have to think of it right away, but give them a little exposure to problem solving. And data analysis and probability you can do through charting. And charting maybe, who likes green beans the most in the class? Raise your hand and you can record the number of responses. Who likes cantaloupe? Record the number of responses. They can chart that. Okay, next, science concepts in early childhood. Biological sciences, we talk about the human body, we talk about animals, we talk about plants. Think of all the books that Dissecting a worm, yes. That's funny. I see now I hadn't thought about that in years, but now I do remember it. Remember in fifth grade or fourth grade, making terrariums, yes. Super fun and enjoyed watching the plants grow. That's wonderful. Yes, so you had a big project, right? If I can get this a little bit bigger for it. I'm going to have some other ideas. I don't ever remember getting to do a terrarium. That's awesome. I just remember getting to, like, sprout beans. Put the bean in the Ziploc baggie and watch the roots grow. Faith remembers dissecting a pregnant shark in 5th grade. Oh my goodness. That is amazing. No, we never had any sharks in my science class. I love that. we did, oh my gosh, Stephanie. You dissected a cat. We dissected a frog, I remember, and a fetal pig, but a cat. And you remember the smell of it. That's funny. Yeah, probably the formaldehyde that they use to preserve them. So, what I remember is I had this great science teacher that took us cave exploring. Spelunking. If I could spell that, I would put it up here. But he took us to several different caves. The science club went to several different caves, and we got to crawl and climb and get muddy and see animals on the inside of a cave. And that really started my love of caves. I love going into caves now. Anytime there's a cave tour, I'm all over it. Or even if it's a rough cave where you're going to get all beat up, that's fine too. I'll do that. And I love rocks. And I think it was this one science teacher that taught that sparked that interest that wasn't there before. So isn't it amazing? All of these things, none of this are the worksheets that you did in class. None of this is something that you read in the book. These are all things that you did yourself, right? These are activities that you did on your own or maybe with a partner, especially on the dissections, right? So you remember the gross stuff. Let me think. One night he took us out on the football field, the whole class met at our school's football field on a clear night, and he taught us the constellations. So we learned all about the stars. Actually, we studied the constellations beforehand, and then we were able to point out the ones that we had learned. So, do I remember anything else about science class? Not really. But I do remember those two activities. So, the same thing goes with little kiddos. We want to try to put as much as we can in that long-term memory, and if we want them to truly remember something, we're going to have them doing it, right, and being a part of the process. So I hope that helped you guys a little bit. Maybe think of that when you're teaching a class. Oh, the egg drop. Yes. Yes, the egg drop activities. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that one too, Stephanie. My children in Aston, they still do that activity. Only now, instead of just dropping it, it has to be a parachute to slow it down, and hopefully it doesn't crack at the end, right? But you had to get really creative. Ping pong ball launched or toothpick bridge. Oh, yes, toothpick bridge. I never got to do that one, but I wanted to. And we didn't do a ping pong ball launch, but my kids both did a marble launch where you had to build a catapult out of supplies that you had at home. And they talked about the different types of catapults. Now, they're not going to remember the names of the catapults for very long, but they will remember how far they launched the marble or how far they launched the ping pong, right? Those are all really good examples. Oh, you ate pie on Friday, Stephanie. That's awesome. Stephanie, you have one. All right, we're getting there. Lauren, Maria, Stephanie, do you guys have a Pinterest page? You do, Stephanie. Great. Great. Lauren, do you have a Pinterest page? You do. Yay. Okay, Maria, you're my last one. Do you have a Pinterest page? You became addicted in high school. I blame my high school food teacher. That's funny. Planning your wedding. Yes, a great thing to use. Maria's called Pinterest. Let me type it out down here. Pinterest is a website that you can go to, and it's really like a visual bookmarking site, so that we don't have to write down the names of websites anymore. You pin it to give yourself a reminder of where to access certain things. It's really hard to explain it, but it's a visual bookmarking page. So you have pictures, and then you click on the picture and it will take you to the website. Or sometimes it just gives you directions on how to put a food together and how to do an activity. When you're on it, you always tell my husband that that's so interesting. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so Maria, we're going to have to give you directions if you've never been to Pinterest before. I think you'll like it, and I want us to be able to use it for class to make a few boards, and then I will. I'm going to do this week. I wanted to wait and find out who all have Pinterest pages first, so that I knew if I needed to type up a more detailed list, and I will do that on how to sign up. It's free, Maria. You don't have to pay any money, and we'll teach you how to use it, and I think you'll love it. You probably have friends that already use it, and they're good. They're good resources as well. If you can have someone sit down with you to teach you how it works. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to set up my teacher Pinterest page, and I'll give all you guys the information on how to access it. And I would like for you to do the same thing as well. If you want to set up a separate page, you can, but you're welcome to use the Pinterest boards that you already have. You'll just be naming new boards, and we'll be adding items to it. So, Maria, if you could maybe ask some friends of yours if they have a Pinterest page, and they can help you get one set up on your computer. That would help out, but I'll give you directions as well. And so we're not going to be using Pinterest this week, but we will start in week 2. We'll start with our first assignment. And I'd like to keep using it through our other courses as well. So I don't want you to think I'm going to have you set it up just for this class. I'd like for you to set it up, and then we'll keep using it. So I'm going to use my Community Care College email address to set mine up. Okay? So are there any other questions right now? You have a classroom board. Oh, great. See, you've got a good beginning there, babe. Yeah. You may have already some of the things that you need. And I will give you a list of the names of the boards, and I'll tell you exactly what I want on each board, and then you'll be able to do your assignment. So you just, exactly, Maria, just go to Pinterest.com, right? right, and faith volunteering or help too if you need help. We'll all help you out. You will be maybe a little addicted to it after we're done, though. It's lots of fun, and it's an amazing resource for so many different things. No problem. All right, guys, if there's no other questions, you're welcome to go for the night. I think we did our full hour this evening. You're on an everyday faith. I am too. You guys have a good night. Thank you. Good night.